We're going to do some live stream events when the pupils are in on a couple of mornings, and hopefully that will give a better flavour of what the school is actually about. So, can I just ask if somebody can hear me again, just to make sure? If somebody pops something in the chat so we know that we're back on. Yeah, great. Okay, right. So, as for my presentation this evening, it's really going to fall into a few parts. So what I'm going to talk about is how Lydia Park Academy fits into the trust, not so much on that. Then the most important part of the presentation is why choose Lydia Park Academy. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about admissions and the process of that and how that actually works. So to start off with, Lydia Park Academy is part of and is the founding school of the Park Academy's Trust. And as you can see, hopefully on the screen there, we were invited probably about four or 5 years ago now to take on Isambard School. Isambard School had a particularly poor Ofsted, and the Borough Council said to our academy chain, we would like to take them on. And that's one of the things which we have done. We then have taken on a lead primary, which is Red Oaks, which is on the site of Abbey Park School. And people say, well, why are you actually doing this? Well, there's a number of things really, and the main thing is about teaching and learning. And to have a primary school means that basically we can use the expertise of their teachers and their head teacher, and that helps us to prepare, and it has gone a long way into preparing the curriculum for Year 7. In the past, what you had was Year 6 pupils coming up and into Year 7, and we found that actually through a lot of investigation that we had, we doubled up on some of the content, some of the skills which we were actually teaching our Year 7s had been covered in Year 5 and Year 6. So we take a big lead from our primary schools, and we hope very shortly that Orchid Vale, another primary, will be on board. And so that sharing of good practice and that collaboration between primary and secondary is really key for us. And that has changed the way that we look at our Year 7 curriculum. And people often talk about lost time between Year 6 and Year 7. And we feel at Lydia Park Academy and Abbey Park School that there's less of that. We also, there are cost benefits to being in part of an academy trust, and sharing things like our finance, our HR, our IT. We'll say that schools have had more money put in recently, but actually there hasn't been that much. It's only come back to a certain level. And so any cost savings which we can make across the piece will actually go into the children's education and the curriculum and providing resources for them. And then something which I'm particularly proud of is our sixth form provision. And again, we have that across both Lydia Park Academy and Abbey Park School, but it is centred at Lydia Park Academy. And that's something which is fantastic to have sixth formers around. The younger pupils come in, they see them as adults, and they are young adults. And it's just having extra role models, and Year 7 pupils come in and say, oh, I wonder what they do, and aspire to be like them and get to know some of the courses that they're on. And it's just something which, again, helps with the aspiration. We set up the sixth form, and Mr. Zimmerman had the desire to do that because in Swindon, the percentage of pupils going on to university was extremely low. It's about half the actual national average. And now, for those pupils who stay on to sixth form, that's above the national average. So that kind of aspiration is important. It's not all about university, I have to stress that. And we get our pupils also to do higher apprenticeship. So sometimes university is not the route our sixth formers want to go down to. But what it does mean is that we track every single pupil and we make sure that they've either got a higher apprenticeship, they've got a job placement, or they're going on to university, which is extremely important. Okay, so that's the way that the trust works. So 4 questions you should ask, and it wasn't so long ago that I was thinking about this for my children. My eldest girl has just left Year 13 at this school. but she'd left, and my youngest is actually doing her GCSEs. And when we were going around looking at schools, I thought, what are the key things which I want from a school? And the first one was, will my child be happy? Then, what are they actually going to study? Because it's not the same at each secondary school. And I think if your children or your child has a particular interest, let's say it's something like computer science, and they desperately want to be a programmer, then some schools don't actually offer that. We offer that at GCSE, and we offer that at A level as well. So it can be that you might be choosing a school based upon the expertise of that school and the curriculum offer which is available to you. Will my child be successful? Because obviously we want children to go to their school where they're going to be successful, where they're going to have excellent post-16 opportunities, and hopefully if they come to Lydia Park Academy, post-18 opportunities as well. And then finally, how do I know that this school is a good school? Okay, and I'll come on to that in a little bit. So, first of all, will my child be happy? And with that, it starts for us at Lydia Park Academy even before they have come to the school. It's very important for us that we go out into the primaries, we get to know the children, we collect a lot of data on the children. I think, Mr. Dobbs, what did we say last night? It was 19?
Yeah, 19 different schools this year. A record is 27 different schools, which was 3 years ago.
So we have lots of different primaries. We make sure that we get the information on every single child. When your children are put into tutor groups, we make sure that they are with a friend, so they know somebody. But we also say that a brand new start at secondary school is a chance to make new friends. It's a chance for a fresh start and a real chance for them to show what they're capable of. So we weren't able to run our induction last summer because of everything going on, but we plan, and if everything goes to plan, next summer to have 3 days worth of induction. And within that induction, we actually have peer mentors who are year 9 pupils going into year 10, who go around with each of the tutor groups. And what we think is quite nice is that the younger pupils, the year 6s, have somebody who they will already know around the school. This year, although we can't get, because we've got the school in bubbles, we can't get the pupils together, but we are getting them to do that virtually. And it's something which we're, there's a problem there, but we've actually found a way around that. So that's really important for us. It's really vital that when the pupils come in year 7, that our tutors get to know them straight away. So every tutor has what we call a PDP session, a personal development planning session, in a dedicated slot on their timetable. And in that slot, further up you go up the year, it's really targeting which subjects that they need to make better progress in. It's a chance for us to, for the tutors to say, what people are excelling in. But when your children come into year 7, the first kind of PDP sessions is, and this is, for me, this is essentially part of the ethos of the school, is knowing that child. So in that PDP planning session, they'll be asking who's in the family, what are their favourite subjects, what do you like outside of school? Is it dance? Do you play for a football team? Is it just, you like to, you're a gamer, whatever it is? Because if we know about that individual child, then we know what makes them tick. And it's quite easy then in a tutor time in the morning. Each tutor has a tutor time in the morning. Myself and Mr. Dobbs is still actually a tutor in sixth form, but you can quite easily pick up on the mood of pupils. And if there's any worries or anything like that, then you quite quickly identify that. And so we have that personal development planning session. And that's something which in the first term we use so that, we get to know those pupils really well. We have parents' evenings and consultation days. Again, they're run virtually at the moment. But we see at Lydia Park Academy, we see it as a 3-way kind of partnership. And that is between our staff, the pupils and yourselves. And our communication, I think, has even ramped up even more this year I never thought that, you know, come March I'd be doing videos for parents and writing as many letters and informing people about all sorts of things. But that's what we do. But our parents' evenings are done through subjects, so that you get the chance to speak to subject teachers. And our consultation days are where you have an appointment with a tutor. And obviously the tutor is going to be one of the people who knows your child the best. And we get some information from all the subject teachers, and we can talk about how much effort they're putting into their work. Are they doing the correct amount of homework? How is their literacy? Those kinds of things which we'll do on those days. And we have 2 of those days. And so if you like, we have 3 main tracking points throughout the year. We have one which is coming up October, November. We have one March, April, and then we have a final report at the end. So you should be fully informed about how well your child is doing, perhaps areas for development as well. Support of older pupils in the house system. I've talked about the peer mentors, and I've talked a little bit about the sixth formers who, what's really good for sixth formers is on their personal statements, which they have to write for universities, they have to show that they do something outside of just their normal lessons and studies. And we've had sixth formers who listen to pupils read. We've had sixth formers who, if you like, have been an extra teaching assistant and have gone into lessons. And again, I think it's one of those things which is great for the younger pupils to see our older pupils. And we also have a house system. There's one of 4 houses, which hopefully you will have seen on the video, and 2 tutor groups per year are put in each of the houses. And that's really important because they have separate house assemblies. We have a sports day, and we have house competitions, and that allows each of the year groups then to mix. And I think that that's something which we've got to work on this year, because everybody's in bubbles and they're not allowed to mix. And that's one thing which I think in this current year that people will perhaps miss out on, is actually seeing older pupils, meeting them socially, you know, working for a common purpose. And we have a house cup at the end of the year, which is given out, and last year was given to Holmes House. So Holmes House won that last year. They've won it for the last 2 years. And that's something which the pupils can take pride in and work towards. And everybody in that house works towards that house cup at some point or other. And then disruption in lessons can really affect children, and it can affect the lessons and, you know, the amount of learning which goes on. And therefore, we believe at Lydia Park Academy it's effectively tackled. Now, most schools in Swindon, to be perfectly honest, operate what's called a BFL system, behaviour for learning. And the emphasis is initially put on rewards. And when your children come home from starting at Lydia Park Academy, they'll talk about R's and they'll talk about C's. And they'll talk about R's in terms of rewards. Oh, I got a reward point. Or I got an R4. So R's go from 1 to 4. 1 is just, you know, awarded in a lesson. You've done really well. It goes into the house cup, and the points go into that. And then you can go all the way up to an R4. And you will probably have seen some of our pupils walking around on the way to school, on the way home, with tie-pins on. And it's a really nice thing for me that I get to award individually the pupils. Now, some of them get so many that it looks like a piano key on their tie. But it's something which we can do to reward. We have other rewards. Again, something which we're looking at how to do this, because usually it's a trip, and we can't send pupils on trips this year. So we're going to look at how to reward pupils, because I think if you get that ethos right and pupils feel valued and they feel proud of their work, they're going to do more work and a better standard, and therefore that increases their learning. We also do have consequences, and they go from a C1, which is just a warning, to a C2, which is a second warning, which means that if that hasn't worked, then the next consequence is a C3, and they will be what we call timed out of a lesson, and they'll be removed from the lesson. That's an automatic detention if that actually happens, because we're not putting up with poor behaviour within the lessons. There are other C3s, and there are C3s for being late without a reason. There's C3s for not having the right equipment. There's having C3 for having the mobile phone out in class without authorization. And people are worried, and we always say to the year sevens when they first come in, there is a period of grace, because we know that it's brand new for them. We know that they are going to be late to some lessons because they've got lost, less so now that they're in a bubble, I must have to admit, but perhaps they're going to forget something because they're not used to bringing all the equipment. And the mobile phone one, you know, you'll go to some schools and say, we don't allow mobile phones out. We've never taken that approach at Lydia Park Academy, and I'll just explain why that is. We see it as a vital bit of technology. It's a modern bit of technology which is used by everybody in society, and it's part of our job as teachers to teach the right way of using that. So if I take some of the lessons in PE, they might use it to film some of the work which they're doing. It might be, I don't know, something like how they're lifting in gymnastics. People can film that, they can show it back to their partner or in their group and say, oh, you need to work on this bit. In languages, they can record their speeches, or they can use Google Translate to help them with that. In drama, they can use their filming to actually show and replay where they've gone and actually say, right, okay, I've seen, I missed my lines there, or I could have put more intonation into my voice at that point. So that's really important. And it can be done on a simple level. My year 11s last year, quite often they wanted to take a picture of the book, because they said, I haven't quite finished, Mr. Pearson. Is it all right to take a picture of the book? I'm going to take that and I'm going to finish that at home tonight. So absolutely not a problem at all. And they would do that. And now we've just introduced this year Show My Homework, which is a package for homework, which again will allow parents better communication. It's something which Abbey Park School have had for a number of years, and we've taken it on probably a year earlier than we expected to, but it's something which they've said really helped with the lockdown situation, and us not knowing what's going to happen this year, we've actually bought into that. And so I, for the first time today, I set homework using Show My Homework. I asked my year 10 group, and I said, right, who's already downloaded the app, because they didn't have to download it before next week. They all said that they had, bar two. And I said, have you seen the homework which I put on for today? They all went on and said, oh yeah, we've got that. I said, any issues with that? And they said, no, that's quite clear, Mr. Pearson. And so that was great. That's one of the things which they could do. So coming back to that, rewards and consequences is the way that we tackle disruption. So what will my child study? And hopefully you can see on your screen the range of subjects which we actually have. And for some schools, when the new GCSEs were introduced 3 years ago, two for some other subjects, we found out that they were very content heavy. And so we did actually reduce down from doing 10 GCSEs to 9. But with that, we made it very clear that what we weren't going to do, and some schools have stopped doing things like music GCSE, they've stopped doing cooking, they've stopped doing DT. And we said, well, actually, we don't want to do that, because our pupils are individuals. And if we stop offering those subjects, we might be denying somebody who's got a talent for something. So in year 10 and 11, we have those options. You know, we have the cooking, we have down in the bottom right hand corner, we have business studies. You know, we do have the music, we do have drama. And when it comes to options in year 9, we promote pupils to do something which is practical, because lots of the subjects are very, you know, I don't know, rely on a lot of written work. And we say, well, actually give yourself a bit of a break. And I know when my daughters were actually doing that, one of them chose to do photography, the other one has chose to do cooking, and it just gives them a bit of a release from sitting at a desk all the time and writing. So it's something which we're quite proud that we haven't cut any of our curriculum. So if you are going, you know, attending other evenings, sometimes it's worth looking at what subjects are on offer. We offer usually a wide range of curricular opportunities, or sorry, extracurricular opportunities as well. We still have our session 6, which is running, and we have a homework club in each bubble at the moment, and that's usually run without bubbles. And at the moment, we also have PE for 1 year group per night, so we're not mixing bubbles at the moment. And I think that lots of schools have stopped doing that, and I think that's a testament to the staff at Lydia Park Academy, that they said actually it's really important that we still do this kind of thing. And yes, we know there's a challenge in doing that, but we're prepared to do that, and so staff are giving up their time to do that at the moment. So they're the kinds of things which people study. Business studies is extremely popular, and they feed into our A-levels. And if people want to know what the most popular A-levels are at Lydia Park Academy, I would say it's business studies, it's psychology, and it's the maths and the sciences. And a good thing about our sixth form is it's not too big. We want it to be somewhere in the region of 100, somewhere between 100 to 125 per year 12 and per year 13. At the moment, it's 80, so we've been growing each year as that's gone along. But that means that we've got smaller classes, and that allows for more individual time for our pupils, so we can do that. Okay, so will my child be successful? We've had an ongoing record of rising results. We didn't put out this year that it's our best ever results ever, because we felt that actually we were awarding the grades. And what I will say on that, because it's been a lot in the press, is about teacher inflated grades. I think I saw something the other day wherein across the country, if they had downgraded the things across the country, it would have been 36% of grades downgraded, and actually in Swindon it would have only been 9%. So I think the schools in Swindon did a fantastic job of trying to give out fair centre assessed grades. And our results, if you wanted to look at how they sat this year, then they sit with regard to the national. So I feel that we would have been a lot higher than national results if things had actually gone ahead. And our A-level results, it was a really bizarre kind of results day, because we got the results and then a day later it said that centre assessed grades were going to be used, and our results would have been the best that we ever had. And I think our results have risen every year that we've had the sixth form, and I know that's going to keep going on. One of the things which we're extremely proud of with the sixth form is last year we had our first Oxbridge candidate, and then this year we've had somebody go to Cambridge for the first time. And what we found is when we first started the sixth form, lots of the pupils were the first person in their family to go to university, and we've got maps up of where everybody's gone each year, and the first one is very centred around Gloucestershire and the M4 corridor, and now pupils are going all over the place, all over the country. Some of it have even been up to Scotland, and they're looking more at the quality of the course and the quality of the university. And so we have a higher proportion go to what's called the Russell Group universities, which are seen as the higher, or in inverted commas, the better kind of universities. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because some universities specialise in certain subjects. As I've said earlier, we will keep you informed. I think one of the things which I've had a lot of feedback from parents is that they've been very happy with how we've informed people, particularly over the last year. We know that the IT challenges, have been quite vast for people at home. When we went into lockdown, we quickly found out that there was a digital gap. Some pupils didn't have access. Some pupils were just accessing it on their phones. So we made sure that if that was the case, that pupils actually got things in paper, and we were sending out things, because we didn't want to leave anybody behind with that. Our rewards are geared up to pupils fulfilling their potential, and our main strapline is potential into performance, and we see every single child as an individual. We think that they've all got a talent at something, whether that's art, whether it's sport, whether it's maths, whether it's geography, which I actually teach. Then it's our job as teachers to fulfill that potential and put it into performance, and that's why our strapline is what it is, because we think everybody has potential. Class sizes, I've just done an analysis of this year's class sizes, and on the whole they are 26 across the board. but that doesn't mean that every class size is going to be 26. That's just an average. Some of our higher sets are 30. We try and not go above 30. And then for some of our practical subjects, they might be down as low as 22, something like that. But that means if you're a teacher and you've got a lower class size, you've got more one-to-one time with a pupil per lesson, but also you've got more time to mark and give more directed feedback. So that's why we keep a careful eye on class sizes. We've just finished last year mapping out what we call the Lydia Park Academy learning journey. And because of the focus on the GCSEs being so academic, we felt, do you know what, we could take the eye off the ball here on all the other things which a school should be. And that should be giving pupils the opportunities to go on trips. It should be opportunities to mix socially. It should be opportunities to go on university visits and to have speakers into the school, because learning isn't just about in the classroom. And we've mapped it, not just actually from the start of year 7, we've mapped it into year 6, and we've mapped it to when they leave it in year 13. So we've kind of got a journey, a route through the school and what pupils can do at each stage and each year within Lydia Park Academy. So we're very keen not just to promote, you know, academic learning, it's all kinds of learning really. We do have 2 special academy programs, one for gifted and talented pupils and one for sport academy pupils, and they run throughout the year. And gifted and talented academy, they have separate assemblies, they're set different kinds of tasks. We ask them about their learning, because for some of these pupils, what we found, you know, before we started these academies, is quite often if they finished their work, they would sit there and they found the work easy. So we talked to them about how they can actually stretch and challenge themselves. So that's what that academy is about. And the sports academy, Mr. Dobbs, to qualify for the sports academy?
Yep, so to qualify for the sports academy, we're looking at pupils being at county level or above in any sport. That doesn't exclude anyone who's playing at Swindon level, but what we're looking to do is try and nurture that talent from an early age and make sure they're getting the support they need, whether it's diet and nutrition or whether it is actually support with how they balance their schoolwork with their sport. So if you are a particularly sporty pupil, we've got a kind of a unique program that we set up as part of the sports college program that really does look after those. We build the team around the athlete with the parents, the coaches and us to ensure that the outcomes are superb for all pupils.
And then I've spoken a little bit about session 6. So, and I talked about it having homework club, which is run at the moment for each year group, and some of the sports. But we've had all sorts of things. We've had a knitting club, and the thing for year 11 is we do an awful lot of work in session 6 on exam preparation and revision. And we say that we have 5 lessons, so we have sessions 1 to 5, but session 6. And for year 11, we don't expect them to be going home at the end of the day, really, at 3 o'clock with everyone else, because we put on these, again, the teachers put on these. It's an expectation that teachers will deliver in session 6, and we have a really high uptake with that. And we also have Easter revision sessions as well, where staff come in during the Easter holidays, very close, obviously, to the GCSEs, making sure that pupils are as prepared as we can make them really for their GCSEs, because that's important, because it's their life opportunities at the end of the day, and the better grades that they get, the more life opportunities that they will actually have. Okay, and then is LPA a good school? And we've just put some quotes there from our last Ofsted, which wasn't too long ago, so it is current. But I think it's the last 3, it might even be the last 4 now, Ofsteds have all been good at Lydia Park Academy. I think the 5th one was where we put in RI, that was when the school was actually Green Down Community School. And I've now been at the school for 25 years, or this is my 25th year. And with the senior leadership team at the school, you get a lot of experience. I think Miss Heston, who's my vice principal, she's now into her 18th or 19th year, might even be more than that. Same with Miss Tipper. Miss Tipper's been out here over 20 years, same as Mr. Dobbs. But we do have some new blood, if you like, with Mr. Coulson, who's now in his 3rd year. And Mr. Coulson is the Raising Standards leader for Key Stage 3. And I should just say a little bit about how the pastoral side is set up. So your child will come into year 7 and they will be allocated a tutor. In that year group, we have a teaching head of year, and we think it's important to have a teaching head of year because they have a handle on the learning, but they also have somebody who works very closely with them, who's called a pastoral support advisor, and they're non-teaching member of staff. And so they are available throughout the day, and that can be for things like sickness, I've lost my equipment, anxiety, that kind of thing, and they will probably be the ones who are ringing home, because obviously the tutors will be teaching for the majority of the day. So it would be the pastoral support advisor, and you will get to know those people really well. And they tend to track through the years, and so they go through from year 7 to year 11, and it's really nice at the prom. You know, the kids are so grateful for all the work which the head of year and the PSA have done. You know, we usually have tears on prom night when they realise that perhaps if they're going off to somewhere else, they're not going to have that close contact which they've had, and that great pastoral support. So that's the way that does there. I hope you've had a chance to read. I'm not going to read out everything with on there, but that's something which you can see. And then finally, we can't have open mornings. Again, it's a real great shame for us, but that's where we're going to have our live stream and events. It won't be as normal as it would be because you're going to see all the pupils in rows facing forwards, but hopefully you'll get a flavour of the kinds of lessons which go on at Lydia Park Academy. And I think what we're going to do now, Mr. Dobbs, is just show you a couple of our year 7 pupils. Again, I think if you copy and paste the link which we're just going to send out now. Now, I will just say they talk about fingerprints in that we don't actually take pupils' fingerprints. What they're talking about is we have a biometric system for them to pay for their meals, and actually as parents you then get to log on and see what they've been spending their money on. So it's a good system. But when they say our fingerprints were taken, it wasn't. It's a biometric system which takes a digital print of their fingerprints. So I know some people might be concerned if they said, oh, we're taking everybody's one. So hopefully you can see that.
Yeah, so guys, if you want to copy and paste the link into your browser, don't click it. It's not a direct internet link, but if you'd like to copy and paste it into the browser and watch it, it's about 4 minutes long. So we'll join you again in about 4 minutes. Okay, thank you.